Hi everyone, my name is Abhiraj Garikapati. Welcome to my YouTube channel Amazing Abhi. Think of this topic as the moment after a large building has power, elevators, water, and security ready, but each apartment still needs someone to move in and start living there. Initial machine load prepares the machine and builds the I/O world. Initial program load is the next step, where a specific logical partition loads its operating system and becomes useful workspace. In this deck, we are not trying to memorize a term. We are building a story. The machine has already awakened. The paths to storage already exist. Now one partition needs to read the operating system from a boot device and start running. That is the heart of IPL. A simple way to understand IPL is to imagine a hotel. Initial machine load is like finishing the building setup for the day. The electricity is on, the rooms are ready, the elevators work, and the security system knows every allowed path. But an empty room is not yet doing anything useful. Someone still has to check in. An LPAR is like one room in the hotel. IPL is the moment that room gets its occupant. The occupant is the operating system. Once the operating system is loaded, that partition can begin doing work. Without IPL, the partition is like a prepared room with no guest inside. IPL stands for Initial Program Load. A beginner can think of it as the boot process for one logical partition. The machine itself has already been prepared by initial machine load. Now a selected partition needs to read an operating system from a boot device and begin executing it. This distinction matters, because IPL is not the same as resetting the entire machine. It is focused on one partition. If you have many partitions, each one can have its own operating system, its own boot device, and its own timing for when it is started. The easiest way to separate initial machine load and initial program load is to imagine a theater. Initial machine load prepares the stage. The lights work, the seating is ready, the exits are known, and the stage equipment is in place. But the audience still has not seen a play. Initial program load is when a specific actor steps onto that prepared stage. The actor is the operating system, and the stage is the logical partition. The actor can perform only because the stage was prepared first. In the same way, IPL depends on the machine and I/O structures being ready first. Before we move ahead, please take a second to like on this video. A like tells me that you enjoyed this topic. Your support helps Amazing Abhi grow naturally. A major beginner mistake is to imagine IPL as one big action for the entire machine. That is not the right picture. IPL is done per LPAR. One partition can load one operating system while another partition loads a different operating system, and another partition may remain stopped. Think of a campus with many classrooms. The building may open at the same time, but each classroom begins only when its own teacher arrives and starts the class. In the same way, each LPAR becomes operational only when its own operating system is loaded through IPL. IPL needs several things to line up. First, someone must select the logical partition that should start. Second, there must be a boot device containing the operating system code. Third, the partition must have a valid path to that device. Fourth, the machine-level preparation must already be complete. A good comparison is starting a car. You need the car, the key, the fuel, and a working route. If any one part is missing, the trip does not begin. IPL works the same way. The LPAR, boot device, I/O path, and hardware readiness all have to agree. Once initial machine load has completed, IPL follows a clear journey. Someone selects a partition, provides the boot device address, and starts the load. The partition then reaches out to the boot device, reads the operating system code, places it into its assigned memory, and begins executing it. To a beginner, this can be compared to opening a saved game. The console is already powered on, but the game itself still has to load from storage. Once the game loads, the world appears and you can start playing. IPL is that loading moment for an operating system inside a partition. Before we move ahead, please take a second to share on this video. Sharing helps this video reach friends who may also enjoy anime, gaming, travel, cricket, chess, career basics, or personal stories. Your support helps Amazing Abhi grow naturally. The boot device is the place where the operating system load code is stored. In many beginner explanations, it helps to imagine the boot device as the starting library for the partition. The partition does not invent the operating system by itself. it must read it from a known location. A classroom analogy makes this clear. A student may have a desk, a chair, and lights in the room, but the lesson cannot begin until the correct textbook is opened. The LPAR has resources assigned to it, but IPL cannot proceed until it reaches the device containing the operating system. IPL and IO-CDS connect at the boot path. IPL does not create a new I/O world. It uses the I/O world that was already built during initial machine load. That means the boot device must be reachable through definitions that already exist. Think of a delivery driver who receives an address. The driver can leave only if the road exists on the approved route map. If the road is missing from the map, the driver cannot magically drive there. In the same way, if the boot device path is not correctly described in the IO-CDS, IPL cannot read the operating system from that device. One common IPL failure is simple but painful. The partition starts, the boot address is supplied, and the first read is attempted, but the path to that boot volume is missing, incorrect, or not allowed for that partition. The operating system code cannot be read, so the IPL fails early. This can be confusing because the storage may physically exist, a cable may be connected, a volume may be present, but the partition works through the active IO-CDS definitions, not through guesswork. The practical lesson is to confirm the boot volume, confirm the device address, and confirm that the allowed path exists before attempting IPL. Before we move ahead, please take a second to like on this video. A like tells me that you enjoyed this topic. Your support helps Amazing API grow naturally. An IPL can be started manually by an operator, or it can be driven by a saved activation profile. Either way, the same key decisions are involved. Which LPAR should start, and which boot device should it use. The profile is like a saved morning routine. Instead of choosing every setting from scratch, the routine remembers important choices, but a saved routine still depends on accurate information. If the saved boot address points to a device the partition cannot reach, automation will fail just as quickly as a manual start. After the partition reads the initial operating system code, the operating system starts coming alive. It initializes itself, locates its configuration information, starts internal services, and eventually begins the workloads it is responsible for running. A good comparison is starting a restaurant in the morning. Unlocking the door is only the first step. The staff still turns on equipment, prepares ingredients, checks reservations, and opens service. IPL begins by loading the operating system, but the operating system still has its own startup journey before the environment is fully useful. The cleanest way to avoid confusion is to keep one question in your mind. Are we preparing the whole machine, or are we starting one partition? If the conversation is about machine readiness and loading the I/O map, you are thinking about initial machine load. If the conversation is about loading an operating system into one LPAR, you are thinking about initial program load. This boundary will help in almost every future discussion. Many startup problems sound similar at first, but they belong to different layers. A machine-level configuration issue is not the same as a partition-level boot issue, even when both prevent useful work from starting. The main idea from this topic is that IPL is the operating system startup for one logical partition. Initial machine load prepares the machine and activates the I/O definitions. IPL uses that prepared environment to read the operating system from a boot device and begin execution. The most practical lesson is about the boot path. The partition can load only from a device it is allowed to reach through the active IO-CDS. If that path is missing or wrong, the IPL can fail before the operating system even has a chance to start. The next topic compares initial machine load and initial program load directly, so the distinction becomes permanent. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to Amazing API. Subscribing makes sure you do not miss the next video, and it gives me motivation to keep improving the quality of every upload. Thank you for being here, and I will see you in the next one.